And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. If this is your first time here, please, if you would like, see an usher or a greeter, or perhaps there are some, I'm not sure, probably in your back of the pews, or a card so that you may give us information and we can be in contact with you. This is the day that we have been given, a little dreary and wet, with more to come. May we use it with compassion and kindness to those around us, in keeping with our Unitarian Universalist values.
Welcome. We are called to worship today by the words of Erica Hewitt. To be a Unitarian Universalist means we'll never be done with the work. The work of telling the truth about oppression. The work of resisting any laws, policies, or practices that deny anyone their humanity. The work of stubbornly seeking out the spark of the divine in each other, no matter what. The work of creating heaven on earth. To be a Unitarian Universalist also means we are not alone in the work. We are not alone because of our promises to love one another. We are not alone because we are companions on the journey. we grow ourselves into allies, helping one another get free, because none of us is truly free until we are all free. May we worship in that spirit together this morning.
Our chalice lighter is Drew Watkins. Please read together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Join in the opening hymn, number 188.
Oh, I love this one. I love this hymn. This is great. I love this one. This is great.
Yeah, well, hold on there, Leon. Wait a second. So, I just want to remind all of you. So, I just want to remind my friend Leon and also my other friends about how to sing safely in this time of pandemic. So I noticed you just pulling your mask off there, Leon. So we can sing with a mask on. It might feel a little weird at first, but it works just fine.
I can penetrate this. Come, wherever you are.
Actually, you might want to also sing with a little more of a gentle tone than you usually do. Also, because studies have shown that the bigger we use our voice, the more chance there is of spread. So I want you to sing, but maybe use your inside voice while we're inside the center. So, thank you, Leah. Please rise in body or spirit or both, and join me in number 188. Come, whoever you are. We'll sing it through 3 times, and instead of 6 times. Also, to care for one another in every way that we can. Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, author of leading, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, author of leading, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, wherever you are, wanderer, worshiper, honor of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
We enter a time now where we share our joys and concerns with one another. And I'm getting a signal that you might not be able to hear me. I'm going to push the button one more time and see if that's better. Thank you. It's good to have so many people watching out. We want to share our joys and concerns with one another at this time. And if you are on our Facebook page live right now, then if you're willing to share a joy or concern you have, I invite you to put that in the chat so that other people will be able to share that with you. One thing that is on my heart this morning is both a joy and a concern, and that is Shirley Nelson's retirement. And I'm so grateful that Shirley is here with us today. I know that she has been a part of your lives for longer than she has been a part of mine, but the last few months with her have been amazing. She is such a pastoral presence in the office, and she has been so helpful in ways that go beyond a job description. If you do not know her, it is your loss. And I'm sorry that you don't have more than the next week to get to know her, but hopefully enough of you recognize Shirley and her work here that you will celebrate with me her retirement into more spiritual practices in her own community. And Shirley, would you want to stand while we celebrate you for this moment? We're going to take time after the service today for you to share your individual appreciations, and maybe if Shirley wants to offer a few words. It'll be outside, unless the sky opens up unexpectedly. We'll be outside to share that time. We've got some refreshments for folks, and we'll spend some time with Shirley. It's a concern because a presence like that is a challenge to replace, and we've decided we're not going to try to replace Shirley. We're hopefully going to welcome someone new into our office administrator position, but we just can't replace perfection. So, with other thoughts, we want to share our joys that we have brought with us today and our concerns, understanding that when we share our joys, they are magnified, and when we share our concerns and our burdens, that they are lessened. And as you come forward today, I'll share with you some thoughts that people provided before the service. Peggy Lagodney is asking for continuing healing energy, thoughts, and prayers for her friend Melissa. She came through her brain surgery beautifully, but has a long road to recovery. So we lift up Melissa today. Also, we offer prayers of healing energy for Margie White's continued recovery. I was so busy being grateful for Shirley that I didn't put a stone in the bowl. I invite you to come forward, place a stone in the water for your own joys and concerns. You know the people who came up today, even with masks on. And even though we can't verbalize in a service all of the things that are on our hearts, I hope that if there's one person that you saw come up today to put a stone in the bowl, that you reach out to them this week and say, what was it about? I want to know what you're celebrating or what's weighing on you. I want to share that with you. Because that's what helps build the love of the community. But for those joys that don't yet have words, for those concerns that are weighing too heavily still to be expressed, if there's one of us, we'll stay. And now we're supposed to welcome one another in whatever way feels safe to you. I apologize for that long lull while you were anticipating the opportunity. Please take a moment to welcome.
And good morning to everyone. So good to see you all. On a Sunday that finally feels like fall has come. This morning we are doing something very particular. Mike Carney actually started us off about this. But we need to talk and keep the conversation going about this whole pandemic thing, because it is so refreshing and so wonderful to be back together in this place, in this room, in the kind of real community that we have all craved for such a long time. But of course, there's a cost that comes with being here, which is the additional care, the additional attention, the additional vigilance that we need to have about all kinds of things that we're not familiar with and we're not necessarily used to. So to help me out here, because I didn't want it to just seem like I was up here puppeting some life lessons about COVID, I'd like to start with Amy Iglesias, who's going to just tell us a little bit about the process and what's been going on behind the scenes for the last literally year and a half, talking about how we went from everybody having to go and stay in their houses to returning to the building.
Thanks, Al.
Absolutely.
Good morning. How many of you knew that we have a regathering committee? That's great. So the regathering committee has been meeting about monthly for the last year and a half. And I would say over the last 6 months have been meeting up to every other week. And periodically, when new directions come out from the CDC or the Ohio Department of Health, every few days as necessary. And the committee has been responsible for doing things like drafting changes to policy, getting together, how we get together inside, how we get together outside, who can get together in the number of people who are present together in a group outside or inside. Are those people members of our congregation? Are they renters? In what combination can they be present on the second floor, the first floor? There are rooms within our building here in Shaker where only a certain number of people are safely permitted to gather. Our members of our committee have determined how many people can be safely in the sanctuary and the choir loft and the narthex, and how much ventilation is required, how many windows need to be open, how many fans and ventilation devices need to be running at any given point in time. We've also, in addition to these mechanical things and reviewing the Department of Health and CDC guidelines, have been talking to congregations and similar organizations across the city, as well as UU congregations across the country to see how they're dealing with the mechanical issues, as well as the congregational issues. Our group has also been trying to figure out how we serve your needs, how we serve our mission of community, spirituality, and justice. Obviously, safety is paramount in our community, but how do we serve you and serve each other in community with some of these larger ethical issues? How do we balance your needs, spirituality, community, and justice? And knowing that everyone may hold a different opinion on how important each of those guiding principles are to you personally. So it's been an honor and a privilege and very difficult at times to be a part of this group and wrestle with each decision along the way. And I want to thank each of you for the grace with which you have accepted the guidance of the committee. And if you have any questions, please feel free to talk to me or any other member of the committee.
Thank you so much, Amy. Deeply appreciate that. And when she mentions our meetings, I assure you, there have been many meetings. So I usually don't like corporate talk, like those corporate words that get used in businesses and business textbooks and, synergy and all these sort of terms. One that actually I've really come around on, really come to appreciate is best practices. And I like that phrase because I really appreciate how it encompasses the idea of our best intentions, but also nods to the fact that this is sort of what we can do. And that's the reality, is that where we end up from all the work that the committees have done and all of the kind of administrative behind stuff is that very much what this comes down to is a handful of things that we're really leaving with each and every one of you. And that's part of what we have to, kind of participate in here every Sunday morning. So here is an overview, a reminder about all the things we have put in your hands when we come together and gather together in worship. First off, masks and social distancing. That's not surprising. We're really used to that at this point. Everyone has done that for a long time. But the thing to remember here is that we're dealing with more than just, of course, our personal healths. So even if you have been recently vaccinated, even if you are not necessarily a high-risk group, it's still crucial that we all observe these, because this has to do with the fact that every time we gather together, we are mixing things up in a way that could allow for infections to spread, and we're trying our very, very best to ensure that that doesn't happen. If we are all attentive about being vaccinated to the level that we can be, and we're all wearing masks, we're doing everything in our power to do that. The other thing is that you might have seen these blue X's on the pews, and maybe many of you are confused as to what the blue X's mean. There's a long story of blue X's. First, it was a counting exercise, but what they basically mean now is that the blue X's are a place to try to land. And we have built them around not the idea of an individual, but of like a pod, because of course many of us are not only individuals, we come kind of together. So as you're coming to the sanctuary, we have now ushers and some people from the board trying to help us basically maintain a certain amount of social distancing as we get to our seats. So if you notice the blue X's, those are our best guidelines. Of course, our best guidelines are not always going to work. So it might be the case that as you get into an aisle, there's a blue X that's right in front of somebody who's in front of you, and if so, scooch over a little bit. Try to space yourself out as much as possible. To that point, we also are currently either figuring out, or I'm actually not sure it was established for today, that we'll be able to have an overflow room downstairs in the fellowship hall. So if we have too many people who arrive for one Sunday, we have a place for you all to go downstairs. What I will say is that it would be especially great if those of us who are long-standing members of the congregation would be especially willing to go to the overflow space when possible, just in case you have any visitors or new people who might not be as familiar with the work or what you're doing. The other thing is this nifty doodad that you may or may not have noticed is showing up in your order of service. This is called QR code. Anybody used a QR code before? This is like one of those moments where our phones are kind of magical, because if you literally pull up just the camera part of your phone and you put it over this device, or I'm sorry, over this image, it should pull up a link, and that link goes straight to a Google form that is very short. But it's all about basically saying, here I am, I was here, this is the date, this is what I was here for. And that will help us contact trace when that might become necessary. I see a hand in the back.
Yeah, Alan, I just wanted to say, at least on Android phone, you often have to download a QR reader app.
Oh, see, this is also important to note. Okay, so some phones might have it already there.
Why the camera not working?
If your phone does not have that automatic feature, there might be an app you have to download, and we can figure out a way to get that information out for the best one to do that for. So we'll be in touch about that. A final one, which is one that we might not necessarily be aware of, is that now that we are back in person and social distancing is such a concern, we have to be aware of what we're calling pinch points. And pinch points are places you might find yourself running into a crowd of people, or where a crowd of people might emerge together. For example, after service ends, if you find somebody who you haven't seen in a while and you start chatting in the aisle, you are unintentionally going to create a little pinch point where a lot of people are going to start gathering around together. So this is one of the reasons why exiting the worship space and kind of finding another place to be, you are more than welcome. Of course, we invite you very much to spend time chatting afterwards, but finding another place to do that is going to be crucial. Either elsewhere in the building or stepping right outside, very easy. So those are things that are all in your hands. But the final point, and one that's most important, is also that all of this is based upon your individual discretion and decision-making about how you can best engage with our community. So the thing I really, really want to stress about this is that we're going to do, through these kinds of practices, our best to make this as safe a space as possible. At the same time, you have to decide for yourself, depending on all of the individual things that you bring with you to this space, how you can best participate and best be safe while you're with us. So there is the part that we can sort of meet at this level of the best practices, but also this is where your own judgment might also have to be part of the story. And that also means, for example, if you have a friend at work who catches COVID, maybe stay home the next week. If you're feeling even a little bit unwell, this is the time to make sure you stay at home. That kind of discretion and that kind of personal judgment is the other side of all of this. We are navigating extremely unfamiliar waters. This is not easy for any of us. And this is not the last time we're talking about this, because it's really easy to fall out of practice. It's really easy to lose track of some of this stuff. But we are here together because we have the ability to be concerned and caring of one another. And this is the way that in this time of pandemic, we can do so. So for all of that, let me be the first of what I've heard many people thank you for your participation and cooperation in this process. And I'm so glad that this process means I get to see all of you face to face.
This reading is written by Laura Hershey, who is an advocate for the disabled, but has much to say to those who are not disabled as well. Coincidentally, Glenn and I will be visiting next weekend with our son Patrick and his family in the DC area. Patrick is severely hearing impaired and is a valued employee at a large engineering firm. And I think of him as I read this. You may have people that you think of as well, or ways that this relates to you personally. You get proud by practicing. If you are not proud for who you are, for what you say, for how you look, if every time you stop to think of yourself, you do not see yourself glowing with golden light, do not therefore give up on yourself. You can get proud. You do not need a better body, a purer spirit, or a PhD to be proud. You do not need a lot of money, a handsome boyfriend, or a nice car. You do not need a lot of money. You do not need to be able to walk, or see, or hear, or use big complicated words, or do any of those things that you just can't do to be proud. A caseworker cannot make you proud, or a doctor. You only need more practice. You get proud by practicing. There are many ways to get proud. You can try riding or speeding on one leg, or playing guitar, and do well or not so well, and be glad you tried either way. You can show something you've made to someone you respect and be happy with it, no matter what they say. You can say what you think, though you know other people do not think the same way. And you can keep on saying it, even if they tell you you're crazy. You can add your voice all night to the voices of 150 others in a circle around a jailhouse, where your brothers and sisters are being held for blocking buses with no lifts. Or you can be one of the ones inside the jailhouse, knowing of the circle outside. You can speak your love to a friend without fear. You can find someone who will listen to you without judging you or doubting you or being afraid of you. And let you hear yourself, perhaps for the very first time. These are all ways of getting proud. None of them are easy, but all of them are possible. You can do all of these things, or just one of them, again and again. You get proud by practicing. Power makes you proud, and power comes in many fine forms, supple and rich as butterflies' wings. It is music when you practice opening your mouth and liking what you hear, because it is the sound of your own true voice. It is sunlight when you practice seeing strength and beauty in everyone, including yourself. It is dance when you practice knowing that what you do and the way you do it is the right way for you and cannot be called wrong. All these hold more power than weapons or money or lies. All these practices bring power, and power makes you proud. You get proud by practicing. Remember, you weren't the one who made you ashamed, but you are the one who can make you proud. Just practice. Practice until you get proud. And once you are proud, keep practicing so you won't forget. You get proud by practicing.
Our sun meditation is number 1031 in your teal hymnal. Please sing along as the Spirit moves you. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peace and peace. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
Our offering recipient today is Edwin's, and I'm going to invite Don Arrington to let us know a little bit about Edwin's. I also want to mention that if you don't have money to put in the plate when it comes around and you want to do things digitally, our Cash App handle is in the order of service. You can use that. And Edwin's happens to be one of those recipients that if you choose to, you can just go there and support what they are doing. And Dawn will say a little more about that now. Thank you, Dawn. Watch that first step.
There's a whole step there. And I'll be going here today. They have the best unlimited with the butcher shop, just so you know. All right, when Randy reached out to me, I turned around and reached out to Brandon, who is the founder of Edwin's for some talking points. So this is directly from them. Edwin's Leadership and Restaurant Institute provides formerly incarcerated adults with a foundation in the culinary and hospitality industries and the support network necessary for long-term success. Founded by Brandon E. Patowski, he stands for Edwin, a 2016 CNN Hero and 2020 IFMA Silver Plate honoree. The Cleveland-based training program ensures that participants are equipped with basic culinary skills from its fine French eatery, Evans 2 Culinary Incubator, Butcher Shop, and Bakery and Diner. Employment assistance, as well as free housing, legal services, basic medical care, clothing, job coaching, literacy programs, and more are offered. As a subject of the 2018 Academy Award nominated documentary, Life Skills, Evans graduates nearly 100 students per year with a 95% employment rate and less than 1% recidivism. Thank you.
Supporting Edwin's, can't hear you. Supporting Edwin's today doesn't just support this organization, it supports a whole bunch of returning citizens in getting their life back on track and becoming reintegrated with society in a way that creates greater wholeness and well-being, not just for them, but for their families and their entire neighborhoods and the systems around. So I invite you to give generously.
Now, Mark Weber, may have noticed, please read with me the acceptance of gifts. We offer these gifts with gratitude, and we acknowledge the constant gifts of time, talent, and treasure that strengthen and nourish this congregation. As a reflection of our commitment to community within and without, our purposeful spirituality that is ever searching and growing, and our intentional actions that lead to greater justice in our congregation, our city, and our world. This reading by Adrian Brown. I resisted meditation for so long. I said it didn't suit my personality, or that I wasn't down to sit. That I could meditate while doing other things, active, non-meditative things. I was in good company with this, particularly in social justice spaces. Everything we're working on is actually urgent. People are being hurt at every level. People and species are dying. The planet is being damaged. We're not making this up. Setting aside time from our work can feel violently selfish. And yet, if we haven't cultivated mindfulness in our attention, how do we ever expect to break out of the cycle of crisis response? How will we ever put our attention into solutions, put our attention into the new practices we need? Meditation kept waiting for me around the corner in every room. What my meditation teachers have shared with me is that meditation is about choosing where my attention goes, training my attention. And that when I am overcome by sadness, loss, anger, joy, desire, restlessness, or other emotions, it helps to be able to drop into myself and choose to be with those emotions intentionally, to listen for what is needed. The more I listen, the more I understand the interconnectedness of the world and my place in it, my significance, my wholeness, and our collective potential and beauty.
While the choir is getting situated here, I'll tell you a little bit about this song. This is a song called Miniwee, and it's a song that is traditionally sung as the sun is going down. So we'll just have to imagine that for a moment here. And this is a song from West Africa, we think, from what is now the nation of Guinea, although that can't be said for sure. It goes back many, many years. And like a lot of music from West Africa, it is very open to improvisation and participation and layered polyrhythms and all the wonderful things that are in African folk music. So I encourage all of you, even though you don't have the words or the music in front of you, if you hear a melody and you feel like humming along with that melody, go ahead and do that. If you want to add some rhythm, on your body or with your fingers or your feet or any other way you want to, I encourage you to do that. It's just a 4-beat pattern, and so you can do something as simple as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Or you can make it a lot more complicated and syncopated than that if you want to, very much in the African tradition. But you can keep it real simple if you want to keep it real simple, and I encourage you, please, to join in with us on Miniwee.
Thank you, Mike and choir, and everybody else that participated. What you do matters when we're all participating together. Maybe you've been in a crowd at some point and someone wants to clap to the rhythm of the song and doesn't quite know the rhythm of the song, and it can kind of throw things off. What you do matters when we're all participating together. What you do matters in a lot of ways. Like, what is your habit when somebody pays you a compliment? What do you do when somebody pays you a compliment? Some of you say thank you. Some of you make an excuse for why it really isn't a big deal. Some of you let it brush past. Some of you point to the things that you haven't done so well when somebody pays you a compliment. You know, we have a lot of habits. Saying thank you is a good habit. That's great. Maybe you say thank you and you actually take it in when somebody compliments you. Or maybe you say thank you as just a way of deflecting it and moving on. What do you do when somebody makes you mad? What's your habit when somebody upsets you? What did you say? I think we may have heard an act of violence being condoned, but I'm not going to worry about that. This is a Unitarian Universalist congregation. I'm sure I misheard that. But when someone upsets us, we have habits too. Maybe we go online and we write something angry to them, or we just send an email out and hit send before we're really over our anger. Maybe we call up a bunch of other people and complain about what this person has done. We have a habit. We have a way of doing it when somebody makes us angry, when somebody pays us a compliment, just with what you do when you get up in the morning. What's your habit? What do you do? How do you do morning? You don't really have to think about it, probably. We build habits in a lot of different ways, and I was thinking about it, this sense of replaying things over and over and over again until they get ingrained in us enough that we don't even think about them anymore. And I was remembering way back in the day, before there was music streaming, there were these things called compact discs. And I know that way back further than that, there were records and cassette tapes and 8-tracks. My stepfather's pickup truck had an 8-track player in it, I remember. But CDs, compact discs, let you do a thing where you could just replay the same song over and over and over and over and over again. It was much more difficult to do that on a cassette tape, but you could just hit replay. And when we would get a new CD, my practice was to listen to the whole thing through. I wanted to hear all of the songs. I wanted to hear which ones I liked. How did they relate to each other? What was that whole album about? And I would get in the car, and Joy and I would be traveling somewhere, and I would play one of those songs, and she would say, "What is this from?" And I would say, "It's from that CD that we've had for a while." And she would say, "I haven't gotten to that one yet." Because her way of listening to a new CD was to listen to the first song, and if it was worth listening to, she would replay it over and over and over again until it got ingrained and she knew that song. She could own that song and know the lyrics and sing along and sing harmonies, and then she would move on to a new thing and learn a new song. Completely different ways of taking that stuff in. But for her, developing a habit with that music meant that she knew it better. Just like you know exactly what to do in the morning, or exactly what to do when someone pays you a compliment, or exactly what to do when you're angry at somebody without even thinking about it. Learning new things often requires us to rehearse it over and over and over again until it becomes ingrained for us. And maybe it becomes different for us the more we hear it. Like when I mentioned before that what you do matters. Maybe you said, "Yep, I get that. Yeah, we've heard people clapping in the wrong place, but what you do matters." If you think about it, if I say it a second time, if you take it in again, maybe you start to realize that it's not just about the music and what you do when you're participating in a thing. It's about more than that somehow. New habits, new ways of thinking, new ways of responding to other people, new ways of engaging in the world sometimes require us to repeat things over and over and over again until they become solid for us. That reading by Adrienne Marie Brown continues on as she's talking about meditation. And she says, "I had to start very small, setting the timer for 3 minutes, which felt like forever. I have built up to a regular practice of 45 minutes, with my longest continuous meditation at 100 minutes, the night my mentor Grace transitioned. I consider my meditation practice foundational. I may add or subtract other practices based on what I need to focus on in a given moment, but meditation is a daily practice." She went from not having any use for meditation to meditation being a daily practice where she regularly sits for 45 minutes, not because she just woke up one morning and said, "I'm going to do 45 minutes of meditation every day." She started with 3 minutes, and when that was okay, when that was comfortable enough, then she moved on and extended that and kept practicing and kept practicing, and it became a spiritual habit, a thing that she just does every day that feeds her soul. But she couldn't get there until she was willing to start a practice. It was that way for me with yoga. I started off with yoga because I had done a 5K. I had run a 5K, and I had gotten there by doing this thing called Couch to 5K in 30 days. It was really great thing. I was not used to running. I was used to sitting on the couch. And so this seemed like the perfect thing, and it worked. I followed the plan. I developed a practice, a habit of doing things in this way that would allow me to run a 5K. And I said, okay, great. Well, maybe yoga has the same thing. And the video series is called Couch to Confident in 30 Days. And I thought, there's my thing. But it was different. Some of you may have tried to develop a yoga practice in 30 days, so you know what I'm talking about. Or maybe you just think that you can't get couch to confident in 30 days with yoga, and you're probably right, because some of the things that this yoga teacher was doing, some of the postures that she was just saying, now we're going to move into this thing. It's like, we're going to do what exactly? Because I am confident that my body doesn't do that. That's But now I look at my yoga practice, because I've been doing it for years now, years and years, and it's almost daily. I slipped a little bit this past summer when we moved, but now it's back to a daily practice. And I look at some of the things that feel good in my body now, and there are things I never could have done in that first 30 days. I wasn't prepared for it. I had to practice. I had to make it a consistent thing that I do in my life, just like Adrienne Marie Brown's meditation. And I was going to bring my yoga mask out here today. I've got a yoga mask up on my shelf, and I forgot about it because the morning was busy and we're in the sanctuary and all of that stuff. But I was thinking about my yoga mask because there's a book called The Mindful Geek by Michael W. Taft, and he talks about all of these meditation techniques. And one of the meditation techniques he talks about is loving kindness meditation. And if you don't know what loving kindness meditation is, it's where you imagine a person in front of you and you just imagine good things for them. You want good things for their life, which is really difficult to do if you're angry at someone, or if it's someone that you may feel like you've got a lot of differences between you and that person, or if it's yourself. It may be hard to look at that person and just want good things for them and want health and just exude your desire for happiness and well-being. But Michael W. Taft says, well, just start with yoga. Because everyone loves yoga. You can't have any ill will toward yoga. What kind of a person are you? And if you don't know who yoga is, I don't have words for that. Go look up yoga on the internet. It's out there. You'll find it. But Yoda is a figure, a heroic figure from the Star Wars franchise. And Michael W. Taft says, you start with Yoda. Imagine Yoda there in his favorite place, doing his favorite things, just being as happy as a Jedi Master can possibly be, doing happy Yoda things, and just want that happiness. I want for Yoda to be healthy and well and exuberant with life. I want good things for Yoda. And just get what that feels like. And then maybe move someone else into that space. Maybe somebody that you care about. Somebody that you don't have any ill will toward, but is another real life human being. And just be in that space of wanting good things for their life. I wish for you happiness. I wish for you well-being. I wish for you health and wholeness. And just live in that space for a little while. And if you practice being in that space enough, maybe you'll be able to move someone else into that space. Someone you have a harder time with. Someone that creates a sense of conflict in your life. And if you practice it enough, maybe you'll be able to look in the mirror and want those things for yourself. And really mean it, and really feel it. But it's hard just starting there. Maybe for some of us it's easy to want those things for ourselves, but it's hard starting there with somebody that we have conflict with. So we have to start someplace and practice and develop it over time, and the more we do it, the more we realize that what we're doing actually matters. That our relationships can be transformed. What we do in our spiritual practices when we're by ourselves matters when we're out in the world, when we're engaging with other human beings. What you do matters. And it matters how we build relationships. We've been talking about this a little bit with the Greater Cleveland congregation. Some of you are neighborhood captains, and you know that it is not just about calling somebody or texting somebody one time and saying, hey, I hope you go vote. I want to encourage you to go vote. That doesn't accomplish a whole lot. But repeated conversations, building a relationship over time makes a difference. You have to keep showing up You have to keep letting that person know that you care about what they're doing. You care about their well-being, that they matter to you. It works this way in a lot of organizations. I remember when I started volunteering at a service organization earlier in my career, I showed up the first time and they said, let us give you a tour of the facility. And they walked me around, they let me know where different programs were happening, and they told me about all the things that go on in that facility and all the people they serve. And I got educated. And then they said, well, where do you see yourself fitting in? What are you really good at that you want to do here? And we talked about some programs. And I started showing up. I didn't start leading anything. They said, well, we've got this thing, come check it out. And so I showed up and I just sat and felt useless. But it was okay because people got to know who I was. And then I showed up the next time and I think I probably made coffee or something simple. But then before I knew it, a year later, I'm leading some of these programs because I've been showing up and showing up and showing up, and people know me now. And so a new minister comes in the door and says, hey, our congregation is interested in being partners with you. And they say, oh, that's great. Randy's here today. He's been volunteering with us for a year. Randy, do you want to give them the tour? So over time, I became the one who was giving people the tour around the building and telling them what goes on there because I kept showing up enough that I knew people and they knew me. And there might be places in your life where you realize that that's the way things have happened. You just kept showing up and you kept building trust over time. And because that was your habit, because you kept replaying that willingness to be present over and over and over again, people got to know you and trust you. And now you're the ones giving the tour. Maybe. Or you may be thinking about some things that are on replay in your life that are just autopilot habits. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback, so I'm trying to adjust where I am. Maybe you're thinking of some things in your life that are on replay that just feel like you're stuck on it. That it keeps replaying over and over again, and you think after the fact, oh, why did I do that again? I know that that just creates more conflict when I hit that send button after an angry email, and yet I did it again. I know that I should take in that compliment instead of just saying thank you and going on with my day. But I just brushed it off. I forgot what I really wanted to do in that situation. So what are the new ways of being that you want to grow into? What do you want to be your habit instead? What rhythm do you want to be cultivating in your life that you need to rehearse over and over and over again? Maybe it's a spiritual practice. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's a specific kind of meditation. But you've been holding it as, I cannot sit still for 45 minutes every day. There's no way that's going to happen. Meditation is not for me. I'll just meditate while I'm binge watching Squid Game or whatever. I'll meditate while I'm walking the dog. I'll meditate while I'm doing other things. Maybe there's a possibility to put something on replay in your life and start small. 3 minutes of sitting still and being with yourself. You are not that difficult of a person to be with. You can tolerate yourself for 3 minutes. Most of you can tolerate yourself for 3 minutes. I bet. Or maybe it's a loving kindness meditation where you want to start with something simple and work up to something more challenging. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a relationship with an organization. Maybe it's Edwin's. Maybe you've heard about Edwin's today and you say, you know what, I want Edwin's to know that I support them. I don't want to just write them a check. I don't want to just use the Cash App thing. I want to go to Edwin's once a month so that they get to know me and that they know that I believe in what they're doing. And pretty soon, maybe you'll have a sandwich named after you or something. I don't know. But when you make something a habit, it changes things. What you do in your life matters. The habits that you build, the things that you put on replay matter. Not just to you, but to everybody. But we have to keep that commitment going. The truth of the matter is you're going to have habits. You're going to have habits. They might be autopilot kind of things that you do just because that's the way you've always reacted to things, and you just say, well, that's just who I am. Or you might have habits that are more intentional because you say, this is who I am right now, but who I want to be, who I envision myself being. The person that my deepest values calls me to be is somebody a little different. I am called to be this person of integrity with these principles that I hold dear. And so if I want to cultivate justice and equity and compassion in the world, our second principle, for those of you playing along at home, I might need to develop a habit. I might need to start doing something intentionally different in my life so that I recognize that all of the little things that I do matters in a really, really specific way. And you get to choose the song that you put on replay. You get to choose that. You're not locked into anything. You can develop new habits, new relationships, new ways of being at any point. Be reasonable with yourself. But choose the song that you are going to put on replay. Be intentional about what you rehearse. That's what it means to have integrity. That's what it means to walk the talk, is to put that behavior, that practice, that value on replay so that it's a consistent practice in your life. And you matter enough to do that. I know a lot of times in the pandemic it has seemed like we were really disconnected from a lot of other people. But I just want to remind you today that it matters what you do. You matter. Your habits matter. The songs that you play over and over and over again in your life and in your relationships matter. That's how we create the world that we dream of. And you have the courage to do so in your life. And blessed be.
Please rise in body and spirit. Join me in number 1059, May Your Life Be as a song, our closing hymn today. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing away the light, and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing away the light, and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night.
Take just a moment now to remind ourselves of our commitment to one another with our COVID covenant. I invite you to read along. In beloved community, we welcome everyone, absolutely everyone, into this space of worship and fellowship. In this time of pandemic, we covenant to respect one another by considering the safety and comfort of others before ourselves, to respect the policies our leadership has established, and to take all of our steps with one another with grace and understanding as we work to make this a truly safe place for all people. May you choose your songs wisely, and may those songs have integrity with the principles that we all hold in common together, so that the songs that we play may create the community and the world that we most desire. Go with peace and courage.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our postlude today is another song that welcomes participation. The title of the song and the lyrics of the song are one and the same. So please join in as the Spirit moves you, singing, humming, clapping, snapping, tapping, any way that feels right to you.
I invite you now to convene outside, where we will be celebrating Shirley and making her as uncomfortable as we possibly can by all the good things we're going to say in appreciation of her.
You can wear cute shoes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I know Jenny, but then, you know, if they don't. Good job, always.